This is Dr. Dryvonnetax YouTube channel, and today's topic will be on pay as you earn, P.A.Y.E, based on section 28 to 32 of the Nigerian tax reforms, the new Nigerian tax reforms. And I'll be talking about the P.A.Y.E in two clips. One will be about the calculation, which is today, while the next will be running through section 28 to 32 to talk about the total deductions, eligible deductions, total income, and what the act is about. But today's clip is to run through the impact of without CRA and with CRA, without rent relief, with voluntary pension. And it's good to know that this January filing is from the old rates because you are filing for December 2025. It's from February 10, you're supposed to file for January, that you're going to follow the new tax reforms. That's the Nigerian Tax Act 2025. And it's also good to know from this clip that is actually the first 800,000 that was removed in this formula. That is the real deal when it comes to the removal of the CRA, because some people actually assume that the removal of the CRA has cost a lot, and it's not necessarily so, because the removal of the first 800,000 actually equates it, thanks to the brains behind the new rates. Because this, as you can see my screen, the row 3, which I'm actually showing here, is actually only the row that has CRA, which is 1.4, using 20% of gross plus 200,000, whichever is higher. But with the removal of the first 800,000, which is from row 4 all the way to 9, I actually did a take-home, a gross annual pay to that is 50 million for the high net worth individuals, HNIs. But that is where the impact is, in terms of the higher you earn, the higher you pay. So now, without CRA is 458,000. We now remove the CRA and use the new formula. See the new formula of the first 800,000 at 0, which has a drag down of the new formula. This first row 3 had the old formula. The impact is just a little, 413 naira. So this is the real calculation we are talking about, not the storage that is around. Let's open Excel and do it. It's just 413. If you now say okay, NHF is not necessary from 2023, it's not compulsory. If you remove it too, your take home will even increase 470,000. You now say, okay, organization, we've talked about it, we want to include voluntary pension, maybe 10%. I used here 10% of your gross. I brought in voluntary pension, 10% of 7.2. You say, okay, 720. That's even the best case scenario here. Then with voluntary pension, say you want to get all the benefits plus rent. The rent is 500,000 here. It means it's a maximum because there's a cap of 500,000. It means your rent is from 2.5. So if you're having an annual rent of 6 million, you're going to take only a benefit of 500,000. But that is not even a problem, because there's a scenario of without voluntary pension, without rent, because of the first 800,000 that was removed, your take home is even still more than when it was with CRA. 458 is now 476. That's 17,000 increase. Okay, without voluntary pension, and say, okay, let's do the rent of 500,000. Without the voluntary pension, without the rent, is 413, like I said. Without voluntary pension and rent is the 413. Without voluntary pension, I say, let's do the rent, like I wanted to say just minutes ago, it's 7,500 increase. You say you want to do rent and you don't understand voluntary pension and want to follow through the rent, and you have a 2.5 million rent and above of 500,000, or that's 20% of 2.5 is 500,000. You have a take home that is more than when it was just CRA, because of the very first 800,000 that has been removed, which is the tip of the iceberg. So I want people to get to know, that's why I'm doing this video, that without CRA or without rent, it's no big deal, as long as that formula is the first 800,000 is 0. The brain behind it made sure that there was no negative impact. So now, if we want to say, okay, the high net worth individuals with CRA, they were taking 3.3 million. Without CRA is now 2.9. That's 94,000 difference. Then you now say, okay, without CRA and National Housing Fund is 3 point, because then we now say, okay, with voluntary pension is actually the best scenario here. You get with voluntary pension without rent relief, say you don't want to hear anything about give me your rent receipt, it's 3.1. Without it plus rent is 3.0. Without both it's 2.9, which is just 94,000 naira difference. Say you don't want to disturb yourself. Then without voluntary pension, you don't understand, it's just rent, it's 2.9, which is 85,000 naira difference. So is there